This is a difficult story to tell, but an important one for every parent who needs to hear this tonight. Now, when we have a child facing big issues like depression, divorce, behavior problems, we rely on licensed professionals to help them. But tonight, it's the licensed professional who is the problem. It's a case that goes beyond broken trust. A licensed psychologist who specializes in treating teenagers arrested and charged with child molestation and child pornography. Faith Abube joins us from his office and has the arrest warrant in her hand. Faith, what does it say?
And Vinny, the details are quite frankly hard to stomach. This is where Jonathan Gerst worked in the building behind me as a child psychologist before he was arrested just a few days ago. He's now in the Cobb County Jail without bond, and investigators are telling us this is only the beginning of their investigation. A phone call out of the blue from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to Cobb County Police has landed this 37-year-old child psychologist behind bars.
They had information that there was actually a molestation case that probably had occurred here in Cobb County.
According to arrest warrants, the incident happened between January and October of last year. Jonathan Gerst is accused of sexually touching a 9-year-old and taking pornographic pictures of her and then sharing them online.
Because of his work, he had access to other children. That there may be additional victims, possibly here in Cobb County, but he had offices outside of the county as well.
One of them is inside this office building in Atlanta. So have you seen this face before around here?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, he works in this building. He has an office in this building.
What do you know about him?
I don't know anything about him other than he's a quiet guy, you know. He goes out and smokes a cigarette and, you know, he rides a motorcycle. He didn't have a lot of conversation.
In a post on Psychology Today, Gerst describes himself as a doctor who has been practicing in several areas of psychology, including mood and personality disorders. Greg Fan says he last saw him within days of his arrest.
In the profession that he's in, certainly he shouldn't be doing anything like that.
And again, this is so important. Police believe there could be more victims in the metro Atlanta area. So parents, if you're listening tonight, if you think your child has come in contact with Gerst, make sure you call local authorities.
All right, thanks, Faith. Tonight, we hear the 911 call from an accused arsonist moments after investigators say she set a fire that caused more than $1 million in damage. Now listen to Adrian Statterly calmly call 911 asking for a ride as her home and the homes of her neighbors burned to the ground.
I have me and my kitty cat and my suitcase, and I was wondering if I can get transported.
So what does $1 million of damage look like? Well, this was the neighborhood on Rosemont Court in Hiram last week, and let's take a look at what it looks like now. Investigators say Shatterly piled mattresses in the center of her living room, set them on fire. Tonight, we also get a clue on why she would do it. She was going through a nasty divorce and had just lost the house. That house that she set on fire. That $1 million blaze was caught on cell phone video seen by more than 200,000 of you on our Facebook page this week. And you had a lot of questions. Why are the houses built so closely together? Is there a zoning law? Was it vinyl siding? What were they made of? Well, tonight we sent Christy Etheridge to answer your questions about what happened and whether it could happen to you.
Our search for answers brought us here to the DeKalb County Fire Rescue Academy. Well, because they agreed to let us set some stuff on fire. All of these are common building materials in a home, and tonight we're going to show you how your home burns. Okay, we've got a blowtorch. Let's put this to the test.
Yes.
It kind of looks like the flame is bouncing off of it.
Correct. Now, there is some what we call direct flame impingement, meaning that it does penetrate it, but it doesn't burn it. With this aluminum, what you can see after a while, you'll see reddening, and what you can see is some warping.
Yeah, that happened quickly.
It doesn't take very long.
So next we've got the Hardy board.
Yes.
This is supposed to be fire resistant, correct?
Yes. It's important that you said fire resistant versus fireproof. That anything, when exposed to enough heat, can burn. Now we move on to the shingles. You see how it is primarily composed of tar. So you see how it's melting away, it's dropping off.
Oh yeah, that's just melting away.
And you see the gaping hole left in that tar. So now we're moving just to your regular plank of wood.
The fire's hitting that one pretty hard, but we all expected. We know wood burns.
Sure. And with this vinyl siding, it won't take very long.
Oh, that's creating a lot of smoke.
Imagine the entire side of someone's home that's burning with all this flame, a lot more intense than that, reaching over to the house next door.
Now, why would somebody choose a vinyl home over a brick home after seeing this demo?
Well, something that's beyond our control, and that could be economics. If you have a home that's 3 or 4-sided brick, it's gonna provide you that extra added protection that perhaps a vinyl siding home won't, but you're gonna pay for that as well.
All right, Chrissy, how do you protect your house if you do have vinyl?
Vinny, there are 3 things you can do. One, if you have a garage, make sure you have sprinkler system inside, and especially if you have a home above it, make sure there's sheetrock on the ceiling, fire-rated sheetrock. Also, when you're looking for a new home, look up in the attic and see if there's any fire-rated sheetrock up there. That means it's also probably in the walls. And make sure all your exterior doors are solid, fire-rated doors, not hollow ones.
All right, thanks, Chrissy.
I'm Ron Jones, and here are some of the other big stories we're following tonight in the Speed Feed. This teenager right here is headed back to Florida tonight, accused of murdering a Good Samaritan. Officers say 19-year-old Joshua Caravori was hitchhiking in Florida when he was picked up by the victim, Terry Hilliard, and taken to a motel. Hilliard's body was found the next day. The teenager was arrested in Alpharetta yesterday after telling a MARTA bus driver about a warrant for his arrest and that he wanted to confess to the murder. Tonight, the Floyd County School Board is walking back the idea to train and arm teachers with guns. A school board member proposed the idea, and initially it gained a lot of support on social media, but after a brief discussion, the school board says no, calling it a last resort. The board will instead look at increasing the number of armed resource officers and counselors at the county school. Well, it's an end of an era on the slopes, and emotional Lindsey Vonn says her body probably just can't take another 4 years. Earlier tonight, you watched as she clinched a bronze medal in what she says is her final Olympic downhill race. It's her 3rd career Olympic medal. At 33 years old, Vonn is now the oldest female alpine skier to win an Olympic medal. Benny?
All right, thanks so much, Ron.
Sure.
4 weeks and 3 days from today, we expect an historic moment. On that day, these students, survivors from the school massacre in Parkland, Florida, will march on Washington to demand change. They're calling it March for Our Lives. You know, sometimes protests fizzle for lack of effort or lack of funding. That's not going to happen this time. Just today, more than $2 million was donated to their cause, $500,000 of that coming from Oprah, who explained in her tweet, "These inspiring young people remind me of the freedom riders of the 60s who also said, 'We've had enough and our voices will be heard.'" But tonight, you know, that conversation surrounding the Parkland shooting has been infiltrated by trolls and bots. Your social media feed isn't what you think it is. Here's why. Within 24 hours of the tragedy, nonpartisan researchers tracking Russian-linked Twitter accounts registered a sharp uptick in trending hashtags and topics related to the Florida shooting. Arguments ensue and disinformation spread, all because of bots and trolls. Bots are automated social media accounts. They work like a plane on autopilot, but their human operators create the settings. Trolls are real people commenting and sharing posts that align with their personal agenda. When an event happens, like the Parkland shooting, trolls will use controversial hashtags to insert themselves into the trending conversations. At the same time, bots are programmed to target the trolls' hashtags to amplify the message. The bot hijacks the message behind the hashtags, plastering it to the news feeds of millions of users. That's how social media manipulation works. Learn more on how to spot these trolls and bots in a special breakout story on 11alive.com.
Like a shotgun, and he's waving around, talking about shooting black people.
All right, tonight we're digging into why hate crimes are rarely reported in Georgia, even when there's video evidence, even when a man threatens to shoot a child because of the color of their skin. It's time to call it what it is, folks. It's hate.